I'll be recording this session. It will be available immediately after class. I'll post it so that those who will join us late, they will also have to look at what we had covered earlier. So in a rights issue, the exercise price is often less than the fair value of shares. The exercise price is usually less than the fair value of the shares, and the concessionary price at which the shares are issued reflects a bonus element in the rights issue. So remember, the rights issue is given to an existing shareholder. So the rights issue will therefore be regarded as an issue for cash at full market price and partly a bonus issue on the combined number of original and assumed rights shares. Now, the reason why the most companies give a rights issue is to give an upper hand to existing shareholders so that they can increase their investment in an enterprise or in a company. So the rights issue is given to existing shareholders. So you'll find that maybe at times it can be given to the existing shareholders depending on the number of shares that one holds in a company. So maybe for every one share, you are given a right to purchase another share, but at now a discounted price, not at the fair value of the shares. So we can look at that by looking at our example. So maybe for those who have not downloaded the notes, I can post it on the public chat so that we look at it together, because I know most of you are using their phones. So the example that we have there is that a company has 4 million ordinary shares of 1 shillings in an issue. So we have 4 million ordinary shares, and the value is 1 shilling. Then we are told that the market value of which were 3.5. So this is the rights issue. The 1 shilling is now for the rights issue. Maybe I can divide my board so that I don't have to go to so many slides. So market value is 3.5 per share. Share. Then we are told that it then decided a 1 for 4. 1 for 4. So this means that now for every 4 shares that are held by the existing shareholders, they have a right to purchase 1 additional share at a cost of 1 shillings. So we are told that it then have a date to have a for issue a concession price of 2.8. So we have a stationary price let me just use a com. 2.8 0.8 per share. So this is shillings. Sorry. 2 shillings per share. Now we are required to determine the bonus element in the rights issue. Now, determine the bonus elements, but we have to know number of shares to acquired in the rights issue. For solution, please, if I'm too fast, you say you can't get it. So solution, remember the total number of shares that we had 4 million. So first of all, we will determine number of shares acquired. Number of shares to be acquired in the rights issue. Number of shares to be acquired in the rights issue. So that is the first thing that we need to determine, how many number of shares will be acquired. Remember, in total, there are 4 million shares. And then the company has decided to give a rights issue on the basis of 1 share for every 4 shares held in the company. So if in total we have 4 million shares, then the number of shares to be given during this rights issue, we will arrive at it by dividing the total number of shares held in the company or in the organization by now 4. Because we are told that for every 4 shares that is held, then an investor has got a right to purchase 1 additional share. Yes, Kimani, I'm waiting for Kimani. Kimani is typing. Okay, thank you, Kimani. Kimani Gishui, so that is 1 million. Ouma Jacqueline, 1 million. So this is not 1 million shillings, but 1 million shares. Kiilu Benjamin, that is okay. Viola Makoa, Ouma Jacqueline, Bet Langat, Mumudi Zipora, Inudia Wanjiru, that is okay. That is commendable. So Kipkoech Lagat, Mutua Mutuku, that is 1 million shares. So it is not 1 million shillings, but 1 million shares. So those are the number of shares that are to be acquired through the rights issue. Now, that's the first stage, or the first step, is that we have determined the number of shares to be acquired, the number of shares to be acquired through the rights issue. So after determining that, we need to deduct or to less the shares that are to be issued at full market price. We need to deduct the shares that are to be issued at full market price from these 1 million shares. So to get the number of shares that will be issued at full market price what we'll do is we will take
You are currently the only person in this conference.
Hello, no, I'm back. Sorry for that network mishap. So maybe if you can hear me, please can we just we can have a small poll. If you can hear me, please, so that we continue. Sorry. Okay. Thank you. So I was after we have determined the number of shares to be acquired through the rights issue, we have to determine the number of shares to be issued at full market price. So next we determine the number of shares to be issued at full market price. And remember, we are using the number of shares that are to be issued at the rights issue to determine this. So remember, the market value is 3.5 shillings, and the concessionary price is 2.8 shillings. So to determine the number of shares to be issued at full market price, we will take the 1 million, the number of shares that are to be issued during the rights issue, 1 million, and we have calculated this by dividing the 4 million shares by 4. So 1 million, and then we multiply it by concessionary price, which is 2.8, divided by the market value, which is 3.5. Remember, this is 3.5 shillings. This is 2.8 shillings, and this is 1 million shares. So the shillings will cancel with the shillings, and then the value that we'll get here will be in terms of the shares. So that is Mwai Macharia, 800,000. We have Kimani Gishui, Ouma Jacqueline, also getting the same. We also have Bet, Owino, Viola. So 800,000 shares. Akoth, Sylvia, 800. Mumudi, Zipora, Kipkoech, Lagat, 800,000. So that is the second step, which is to determine the shares that are to be issued at full market price. So to get the bonus shares, we will now deduct the 800,000 shares, the shares that are to be issued at full market price, from now the number of shares to be issued at the rights issue, which is 1 million. So that will be now the bonus shares will now be the difference between 1 million and 800,000. What will that give us? So the bonus, we take 1M, Owino 200,000, Bet Langat 200, Ouma Jacqueline 200, Viola Kimani Gishui, Evelyn Duati, Jora Beth, the same. So we are subtracting 800,000 from 1 million, and that will be 200,000 shares. $200,000 shares. So that is the bonus shares. Remember in our question, we have been told to determine the bonus element in the rights issue. The bonus element in the rights issue. The bonus element in the rights issue. So the bonus shares are 200,000. So to determine the bonus aspect itself, yes, Wabwire, welcome back, 200,000. To determine the bonus aspect itself, we will now take the bonus shares, which is 200,000. The bonus shares, which is 200,000. Divide by now the total number of shares that are in the market. Remember, in the market we had 4 million plus additional 800,000 that are going to be issued at the full market value. So that will be 4.8. So 4 million plus now 800,000. I hope I'm clear. If maybe any clarification is needed, please do not hesitate to ask. So the bonus aspect will now divide the bonus shares by now the total number of shares now that will be in the market. And we get that by taking the number of shares in the market plus now the additional shares that will be issued at full market value, which is 800,000. So that will be 4.8 million shares. So when we divide it by 200,000, what will be the quotient? So Kimani, 0.04. Okay. So can we get it as a not as a decimal, but as a fraction? Because now if we get it as a fraction, it will help us now to know how many shares will be issued as a bonus for a given number of shares. Yes, yes, because if we give it as a decimal, it may not be very easy to determine that. So that is 1 out of 24. And please take note of that when you are dealing with the bonus. So from what we have determined, then we can say with confidence that for every 24 shares, 1 share is a bonus, which is free. Bonus means free. So we can now deduce that for every 24 shares, for every 24 shares, for every 24 shares, 1 share is free. For every 24 shares, 1 share is free, or 1 share is bonus. So any question up to that point? Because I want us to finish this topic today. 1 share is free. For every 24 shares, 1 share is free. Any question? Okay, if there is no question, then I think we can move on. Now, in calculating the current figure, the weighted average number of shares, the WANOs, will now be calculated as follows. 1, you take the number of shares before the rights issue, the number of shares before the rights issue, times now, so maybe we can write it down just in short form. So you take number of shares before the issue, so I'll just write issue to mean the rights issue, number of shares before the rights issue, times now the period, times the period, then again you multiply the actual rights price, actual rights the term come rights means that with rights, with rights. X rights means without. X means without. So actual come rights price, and then the actual come rights price here, we divide the actual come rights price by theoretical X rights price. Theoretical X rights price. So the price without the rights. So once you do this, we'll get a value there, which I assume is XX. Then you add to that, we add the number of shares. We add number of shares after the rights issue. We add, the number of shares after the rights issue. Number of shares after the issue. So let me just try it. After the issue times the period. So the period is very important. Times the period. We add it to what you would have got here. So XX. And now when we add that, the sum that we'll get there will now be our WANOS. Sum that we'll get there will be our WANOS. So maybe for those who are not there in our last class and have not gone through what we did, WANOS is simply the weighted average number of shares. The weighted average number of shares. So that is how we can get the WANOS when the rights issue is involved. Now, to get the previous year's earnings per share, to the previous year's earnings per share, you'll have to adjust it. And when you are adjusting the previous year's earnings per share, you just take the earnings per share for the current year. EPS means earnings per share. You take the earnings per share for the current year times the theoretical X rights price times the theoretical X rights price. X, as I've said, means without the rights issue. So the theoretical X rights, then this we divide by the actual come rights price. Actual come rights price. So that is how you'll adjust now the earnings per share. That's how you adjust the earnings per share. Now the actual come rights price is the fair value of the shares prior to the exercise of the rights. the fair value of the shares prior to the exercise of the rights. And the theoretical rights, maybe we can go to the next slide and then we see how we can get the theoretical rights. For the theoretical rights, maybe I can just write it as theoretical rights. Now we arrive at these theoretical rights by taking the number of ordinary shares outstanding, to the rights issue, number of ordinary shares. So I think I can write it well. So it is given by number of ordinary shares or number of outstanding ordinary shares prior to the rights issue, number of ordinary rights outstanding prior to rights issue, times fair value of shares times fair value of shares. So we multiply this to number of ordinary shares outstanding to the rights issue times the fair value of shares plus, again, we have the product between the number of shares issued through the rights issue. So number of shares issued through the rights issue. So let me write the number of rights. Number of shares issued through the rights issue multiplied by now the rights price, multiplied by rights price. Then we divide all these. We divide all that by the number of shares outstanding prior to rights issue plus the number of shares issued through the rights issue. So we divide it by what we have here, the number of shares outstanding times the number of rights. So maybe I can just write it there, number of shares outstanding prior to rights issue, plus now number of shares issued during the rights issue. So maybe number of rights. So that is how now we will get the theoretical value. So maybe to illustrate all that we have done, we can look at an example which we have there. So again, I can post it on our public chat forum so that we do it quickly. Okay, so it's there. We are told that the issued and the fully paid capital of ABC Company on January 01 comprised 100,000 7% preference shares of 10 shillings per share. Then we have 4 million ordinary shares of 10 shillings per share. Then we are told on 1st October 2001, the company decided a 1-for-4 rights issue of ordinary shares at 14 shillings per share. The market price of ordinary shares on the last day of quotation on a CAM rights basis was 24 shillings per share. So number one, we are told to compute the earnings per share of the current year, where the post-tax net profit for the year to December 2001 was 1,155,400 shillings. And number two, we are told to adjust the previous year's earnings per share, where the earnings per share for the previous year was 28 cents. So that is what we have there, members. We can now do that if you don't have any question or solution. Now, to solve this problem, first of all, we need to determine the earnings, just the same way we were doing in our last class example. So we need to determine the earnings first. So remember, we said that the earnings that is attributable to ordinary shareholders will be the earnings after we have deducted the preference share dividend. So we need to get the post-tax net profit, and then we less the preference dividend from the post-tax net profit. So we get the post-tax net profit, and that has been provided to us. The post-tax net profit, so maybe I can write that as NP. So that has been given as 1,155,400. So that we have just pasted it. Then now we less the preference dividend. So we less preference dividend. So let me write it as preference div, and then we calculate that. Remember, we have been given that we have 100,000 preference shares, and the interest rate is cent or the dividend rate, but the cost of the shares is 10 shillings per share. So first of all, to get the cost of these preference shares, we will multiply 100,000 by 10 shillings, and that gives us 1 million. I hope we are together up to that point. So if the cost of the preference shares is 1 million, the interest now or the dividend is given at a rate of 7%. So what will that give us, members? 7% times 1 million. Yes, Edwin Gidaka. Edwin Gidaka, what will that give us? Please don't just log in and then you disappear. Edwin Gidaka. Edwin Gidaka is not around. He has just logged in and disappeared. So Betty, Bet Langat, Viola, Kimani, Kariuki, Judy Nzioka, Nderitu, Mumudi, Ouma Jacqueline, Victor, Akoth Sylvia, Owino, Evelyn Duarte, all of us are getting. Okay, Edwin, you are back now. Okay, thank you. Please be attentive. So that is 70,000. So Kilu Benjamin Mutua, that is okay. Kibibi Bakari, Nicholas Wainaina, Eli Steve, that is okay. So we subtract that from the post-tax Bavire Veronica, that is okay. So if you subtract the 70,000 from 1,155,400, what will be the difference now? Now the difference there will now be our earnings for this particular case. So Mwai Macharia 1,085,400. So 1,085,400. Owino John the same. Ouma, Jacqueline, Viola, Evelyn Duati, Momudi, Zipora, Deritu Rosemary, Judy Nzioka, Nicholas Wainaina. It is the same. So 1,085,400. So that is the earning. So that is the first step. Step number two is now to determine the theoretical X rights. Theoretical X rights. So maybe if I can take you back to slide 3, that where we have that. Let me look at slide 4. Okay. Yes, in slide 4, the theoretical X rights is given by the number of shares outstanding prior to the rights issue times now the fair value times the fair value. Then we add that to the number of shares issued through the rights issue times the rights price. That will give us the numerator. Then in the denominator, we just add the number of ordinary shares outstanding prior to the rights issue to the number of shares issued through the rights issue. So if you look at our problem again, the number of ordinary shares outstanding prior to the rights issue, that were 4 million shares. I hope we are together there. So we have 4 million shares. Then we are multiplying this by the fair value of the shares. And if you look at our problem there, the fair value of the shares is 24. Then we add this to the number of shares that were issued during the rights issue. And those shares, we have it there. We are told there that on 1st October 2001, the company decided a 1-for-4. So the number of shares that are issued during the rights issue will simply divide the 4 million here by 4, and that will give us 1 million. So please, you can note somewhere how we've got the 1 million there. So what we have done is that we have divided the 4 million ordinary shares by 4. So that will give you 1. So you can note it somewhere for future reference. So this 1 million, we multiply it by now the fair, not the fair, but the rights price. And the rights price here is 14. So remember, in the denominator, we'll just add 4 million plus 1 million, number of shares. So please, can somebody work out and give us the quotient? Please, can you work out and give us the theoretical X price? Okay. Uma Jacqueline, that is 22, correct? Ilu Benjamin, the same. 22, Judy Nzioka, 22 is okay. We move on. Next, step 3, we get now the Wanos. This is the third step. We get the Wanos. Remember, in our, I think it is, oh, no. It is the next slide there, slide 4. Okay, sorry. I think it is, let me check the next slide for Wanos. Okay. For Wanos, we will get it using this method here. First of all, we take the number of shares before the issue times the period times the actual CAM rights divided by theoretical X rights. We get the value there. Then we add the number of shares after the issue times the period, so that will give us the Wanos. So we can look at our problem here. Now the number of shares now before the issue period that we have as 4 million. Number of shares after the issue is 1 million. We are not 1 million, but sorry, that is not 1 million. That is 1 million for the issue plus the 4 million before the issue. That is 5 million. Remember the number of the period. The period now, this issue of the rights issue was done around, it was on 1st October. So between January to 1st October, that is a total of 9 months. 9 months. So in this case, the period here, the period that we'll take here will be 9 out of 12. And the period here is after the issue to December, that is 3 out of 12. Then the actual CAM rights price, is 24. The actual CAM rights price is 24. The theoretical X rights, we have determined that as 22. So I think having that, we can now get our Wanos. So our Wanos, I'll not write the formula again because that will not take time, but you have seen it in the other slide. I think also in your notes it is also there. So the period from January to September, so the number of shares before the issue, that is 4 million. Then we are multiplying this by the period, which is 9 out of 12. Then times 24 of the theoretical price, which we've got as 22. So please, can someone calculate that? Then for the, we add now, we add 4 million plus 1, that will be 5 million, times the period there to December, which is now 3 out of 12. So again, can someone find that? Please, can we do that because of time? Yes. Uma Jacqueline, what is the first value there? You should have your calculator. So maybe some people can find the first one and the others to find the second one so that we don't waste a lot of time, please. Okay, thank you. That is Uma Jacqueline, 3 million. 3 million. Is it? Okay, 3,272,727. 272 727. Yes, maybe someone can give us this other one, this other value. So because of time, for that other value, yes, Uma Jacqueline again, 1,250,000. So can someone add them? Can someone add them? The two values. So what will be our one-os? Okay. I caught Sylvia, 4,522,000. Sorry. 522,727. Is that okay? Evelyn Duarte the same. Deritu Wabwire. Okay, so that is our one-os. So now our earnings per share. Remember, earnings per share is given by the earnings, which is 1085, 400. Earnings divided by one-os. We are using the concept that we learned the other time. So this, we are dividing this by 4,522,727. So what will this give us? Remember, the earnings per share is given in shillings. Yes, Kimani Gishui, 0.24 shillings. $0.24, which is also approximately 24 cents. Judith Nzioka, can you check? You have a 4. 24 cents. Okay, 24 cents. Now we can adjust the earnings per share. We can adjust the earnings per share. So I think I need to delete that slide. Now, if you are adjusting the earnings per share, I think there is a slide that we had that. Yes. So you take the earnings per share for when you are adjusting the earnings per share, you take the earnings per share for that particular period. You take the earnings per share for this particular period, which we have found out as 24 cents, times now the theoretical X rights price, which we have, and the actual CAM rights price, which we also have. So maybe we can adjust that in the next slide. So we can have adjusted earnings per share. Adjusted per share. This will be given by the current, which is 24 cents. Remember that it is the the cents. Remember, it is the cents, not shillings. If you use that 24 as shillings, now your adjusted will not be okay. Now, what is the current 24 really? Can you look at our question? Let me see our question. Okay. Oh, we are told to adjust the previous year's earnings, part 2, adjust the previous year's earnings per share, where the earnings per share for the previous year was 28. So this is the current. So we use that previous year's, which is 28 now. 28 times now now the theoretical, because the formula is that we get the previous year's earnings per share times theoretical X rights price divided by the actual CAM rights price. So all of that we have. The theoretical X rights price was 24. This is not the 24 that we have just calculated in the previous slide, divided by 22. So this will give us the adjusted earnings per share. So please, can we get that? And then I think we can end the live session and we go to our we go to our discussion forum. So what will that give us? 30.55. $30.55. Okay, so this will be 30.55 cents. Remember, they are cents, not shillings. So any question up to that point? Any question up to that point, members? Yes, Boniface, that is okay. Wabwire, Kipkoech, Owino, Kiilu, Benjamin, Edwin, Gitaka, Kubende, Austin, welcome back. Kubende. Okay. If there is no question, I think we can end on our we can end the live session, and then now we